A lot of families that I talk to assume that the next step for aging parents is downsizing. But the more and more families are asking a different question. What if we just live together? Multi-generational living is becoming much more common, but it's also one of those decisions that can look really great on paper and then get complicated in real life. So today we're talking about when living together actually makes sense and what families should think through before making that move. Welcome back to In the Thick of It, Real Estate and Real Life. I'm Ashley with the Gajdosz home team and here in Tampa Bay, and this podcast is for those of us that are in the middle season of life, raising kids while also starting to think about how we support our parents as they get older. Last week we talked about the financial side of downsizing, but sometimes the conversation shifts in a different direction. Instead of where should mom move, the question becomes, should mom move in with us? And that is a much bigger lifestyle decision. We're seeing more and more multi-generational households for a few reasons. First, housing cost. Buying another home, especially in places like Tampa Bay, can be expensive. Combining households can sometimes make more financial sense. Second, caregiving. Many families want their parents closer so they can help with day-to-day needs or simply keep an eye on them. And third, family connection. For some families, having grandparents closer to the kids is a huge positive. But while it can work beautifully, it requires planning from all ends. Financially, there are a few ways that this usually pays out. Sometimes parents sell their home and contribute towards an addition, a guest suite, separate living space. Sometimes families buy a larger home and everybody moves in together. And sometimes parents simply just move into an existing home. The key question here isn't just, can we afford it? It's, how will expenses be shared long term? Things like utilities, property taxes, insurance, home maintenance. Those need to be crystal clear before anybody moves in. The financial piece is actually the easy part. The hard part, though, is going to be lifestyle, because suddenly you have 3 generations, 1 roof, different routine. Questions that families should talk through include privacy, expectations around childcare, cooking and shared spaces, quiet time, guest and boundaries. Now, none of these are deal breakers, but avoiding the conversation can create a lot of tension later, and we don't want to do that. One of the biggest factors, whether in multi-generational living works out in the home, is the layout. Separate living areas can make a huge difference. This may look like an in-law suite, a converted garage apartment, first floor bedroom with a separate space, a guest house, or a detached unit. A little separation can actually create a much healthier dynamic in the home. It allows families to be close without feeling super crowded. I've seen multi-generational living work incredibly well when families approach this as a partnership. When the expectations are set clear, when the finances are discussed openly, and when the home itself supports privacy and independence. In those situations, it can actually strengthen family relationships. Kids get more time with their grandparents and parents feel supported. Adult children don't feel like, oh, I am doing everything by myself and alone. If your family is considering multi-generational living, the most important step isn't moving the furniture, it is having that conversation up front. We're going to talk through the expectations, talk through the finances, and you're going to talk through the lifestyle. Because when everybody goes in with clarity, it can be a really beautiful solution. Now, next week, we're going to talk about something that many families avoid until it becomes very urgent. How to prepare a home for sale when your parents have lived there for decades. Decluttering, repairs, what actually matters and what doesn't. Until then, we will keep navigating it together. right here in the thick of it. Have a beautiful week, my friends.